making decisions. So change is coming. Change is already here. You're hiring young people that are actually much more intuitive than my generation. I have to practice it. But many of the young people are actually being born with a heightened level of intuitive ability to actually guide themselves. But at the core, whether you're 60 and close to retirement or whether you are 16 and just entering the workforce, what we know to be true is that we all are in this species, the human being, and that we want to belong. We want to contribute. We want to bring value. We want to have some fun. And we want to feel that at the end of the day, we're further along. Every single one of us wants to be able to do that. So I ask you a question, and I want you to think about this, and I just want you to take a minute and think about who manages you best? Who manages you best? And it doesn't matter where I go, it doesn't matter how big the audience or how small, I get the same answer everywhere I go. I do, of course. So why do we think our frontline employees in the field are any different than us? They simply want the opportunity to lead and manage themselves. And I know that that is really scary to many employers. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. What if we, the whole idea of chaos and lack of, control and all those things start to bubble up to the surface. But here's the thing, if we build the right systems, and if we teach the right things, and if we model the right things as it relates to responsible self-management and responsible self-leadership, we can actually get the best pieces of our frontline employees activated in a real, compelling way right out in the field where they're working. So here's how it works. I want everybody to consider those old-fashioned scales. You know, the ones where we used to put what we wanted to buy on one side and we put the weights on the other side to see how much we were buying. So I want you to imagine you each have your own scale. And on the right side, I want you to put a couple of things. How much time in 1 month, you can use a month or you can use any given week, whatever you want to use as your time frame, do you spend trying to influence, plan and direct, or lead your significant other in your life? You really want your partner to kind of do it the way you do it, okay? If you're like me, it's like, mine's actually way down here, but that's a whole different story that we're not going to go to today. Okay, so you got that on the right-hand side. And then I want you to add to that, how much time do you spend, if you have children, directing, guiding, facilitating, and leading? You want your children to do it the way that you think it needs to be done. So you're really leading them, okay? Now, if you have elder parents, and it's time for dad to get a walker or mom to think about getting home care, how much time do you spend, right, facilitating, leading, directing your senior parents? And you haven't gone to work yet. And what if you sit on a board in the community? How much influence are you trying to have? But now you go to work, and I want you to add that to it. How much time in any given period of time frame that you're using do you spend trying to lead, direct, plan, facilitate, manage those around you? And I want you to compare that to the left side of your scale. How much time in that same time period do you spend intentionally and deliberately leading yourself? Because if you're like me, or like most people, your scale is completely out of whack. And I am fascinated by that concept. I am really fascinated by what is it about the human being that we actually think we need to be in everybody else's life, and yet we're not actually spending any significant amount of time leading ourselves, being intentional and deliberate, and really going within and saying, what's the right thing to do in this situation? So what we try to do is I always try to make sure that people understand that leading self is at the core of everything. Because if you don't think that every time you open your mouth, every time you do or say anything in front of colleagues, or in particular those in the field, you're modeling the way. The question is, are you modeling the right way? Are you modeling the way in the right direction? Are you sending the right messages? Do you ask the right questions? Do you give answers? Or do you say, what do you think you need to do? What's your gut telling you is the right decision in this case? because they know the answer. So developing a culture of leadership, self-leadership, requires that we actually start to think about what we think about. What are we thinking about? And one of the challenges in today's work context is we are really busy being busy, and we are thinking about everything that we have to get done. And sometimes we feel heavily burdened with a lot of stress, and so we end up with some negative